Hey folks, welcome back to SC Haulers. I'm Saxon Wine, and today we are going over the 4.4 patch. So for anyone who mines, salvages, or hauls cargo for a living, this patch brings a few quality of life things and a couple new tools to make your day a little easier. I'm not going to drown you in patch note fluff. We're talking the stuff that matters for industry related things, the things that'll actually change how you play. So before we get into the video, I just want to say, if you haven't heard, there are Twitch drops coming on the 20th. That is going to be Thursday. And that is anybody who is streaming Star Citizen and has drops enabled. I will be streaming on the 20th, maybe the 21st. And then we will be back on Monday to stream some more. So if you want to hop in, twitch.tv/SCHaulers or here on YouTube. I will have timestamps down in the description below for this video, and the first thing we are going to get into is bugs that are very important for this patch. Alright, so the first thing we're going to get into is the Argo Atlas, and there has been a bug that has been plaguing this thing for the past 2 patches where the UI would not function, and they have potentially fixed this. And so Align in Mind should get a lot easier if you can use the Geo now. So the UI is here. Now I didn't actually try to scan any rocks, but the UI is here and the laser is functioning, so I would assume the rest might work. So another bug you may encounter is with the Hull C, where if you dock your ship, you go in, store your ship, you retrieve your ship, you will notice that your extended spindled Hull C will end up in your extra large hangar. This is not on the known issue list, but it should be. So hopefully this gets fixed soon. This monstrosity is not okay. Basically, don't store your ship with your spindles extended. So I'm not going to give you a tour of Levski because there's probably 500 other YouTubers that have given a tour of Levski. But I do want to go over 2 places within Levski. The first one being Teach's Ship Shop. Now in Teach's Ship Shop you can buy an amalgamation of weapons, shields, and components and stuff. But the big thing about Teach's Ship Shop is the ships that are available to rent or buy. Now I'm not going to get into it too much because I already made a full video about Teach's Ship Shop and the changes about these particular ships. But Teach's has some ships that are called Teach's Special. And they're not anything special to a degree. It just gives you a variation on what you want to purchase. Like it doesn't have a special paint. It doesn't have special components that are better than others. What you are buying is just different loadouts from the stock ships that were already there. So the Mole, for instance, if you were to buy that, you would get 3 Arbor mining lasers. With Teach's Special, you get 1 Helix 2 and 2 Klein size 2s. All the ships that are here that are under the Teach's Special category are all industry-related ships to include the Reclaimer, but surprisingly, the Prospector is not included in this. I wanted to bring it up though because all these ships being industry-related and having options for different loadouts when you purchase vehicles is kind of important. It's a new feature. I like it. If you want to see my full video on Teach's Ship Shop and all the changes for the vehicles that are here for Teach's Specials, you can see that link up in the top right corner right now. Also, another thing that I did a full video on is external freight elevators. But if you didn't watch that, I'll give you the quick details here. External freight elevators are available in every system, at least at the major locations. So in Pyro, Checkmate, Obituary, and Ruin. At Stanton, they're located at every location that has a cargo center. And in Nix, obviously, there's Levski. Throughout the PTU period, there were a few problems with the freight elevator, but they have resolved all those. So these are working as intended as far as I've seen in the PTU, but things can always change when it switches over to live. But the important part about this, in another video I did, is the security that they've added to these external freight elevators. So Salty Mike had said it before that his biggest concern with external freight elevators was that people would be able to just walk up to the freight terminal and send all that cargo down. What CIG has done is if you are in an armistice zone like at Levski, if somebody tries to send your cargo down, it will give them an error like you saw on the screen previously, where you can't send it down anymore. And let me show you another example. I pulled this cargo up on this pad. We're gonna take it over to an external freight elevator. Oh, and if I didn't mention it, this pad outside Levski has an elevator outside of it. So here we are. We're just going to toss this onto the freight elevator real quick. We're going to head over to the terminal. I love this Nyx music. It's so like peaceful and serene. But anyways, we go to the elevator, and because this cargo technically doesn't belong to me because I abandoned the mission, it gives you this error when you're in an armistice zone. If you're in Pyro, you can send down any cargo that you want, or likewise if you're at Grimhex or Brio's Breaker Yard. But Grimhex does not have external freight elevators, at least yet, as far as I know. I mean, I wouldn't want to use external freight elevators at Grimhex anyways. And for those of you who are wondering if this also works for cargo commodities, like stolen commodities, yes. If it is assigned to you on an armistice zone freight elevator, it will not allow anyone to send it down. Unless you are in Pyro, Grimhex, or one of the salvage yards. Somewhere without an armistice zone. Alright, so the next one is going to be interstellar hauling. And if you want to get into interstellar hauling with your gang and go drop off some cargo at different places across the verse, this is the place for you to learn how. So if we're going to talk about interstellar cargo hauling, we first need to talk about the new factions that are in the game currently in 4.4. One of them is going to be the Dead Saints, and the Dead Saints fall under the Council, which is a criminal organization. The Dead Saints generally, they mostly fall under the smuggling and chemical crafting category. So the Dead Saints, at the time of recording all this footage, they only had rookie rank missions available in 4.4 PTU. I would imagine that will be the same when 4.4 goes to live, but I can't guarantee that. This is a PTU. They could surprise us. So there are only currently rookie rank missions for cargo smuggling with the Dead Saints. There are missions available. The trainee mission starts in Nyx, Stanton, and in Pyro. I would personally recommend you do the one in Stanton. I thought that one was pretty interesting. Next you have Ling Family Hauling, and this one belongs under the Union Workers Guild, and specifically the Cargo Haulers Guild. But their first mission is going to be located in Nyx. And as soon as you get that first mission done, at rookie rank, you will unlock all the interstellar missions that are available. There are 6 of them, maybe 7, and it's like 3 in Nyx, 2 in Stanton, 2 in Pyro. Now, I did have a friend, Shattered Orbit, who did some data mining and found that there are more missions available for Ling Family Linehaul, but they are currently not set for release. So as of, again, with the Dead Saints, the only contracts that are available are rookie rank contracts for Ling Family Linehaul. The ships I would recommend for interstellar hauling with Ling Family Linehaul are generally like the Starlancer Max, the Raft, or the Constellation series. Like the Taurus would be the best for cargo hauling specifically, but I know I did a couple of Ling Family Linehaul missions in the Phoenix. So with the 2 new factions out of the way, we go back to our old reliables, Covalex and Wind Linehaul. Now I'm going to start with Wind Linehaul because it's a little bit easier to go over. Well, I guess they're both easy to go over, but we're going to start with Wind anyways. So Wind Linehaul they were originally the faction that had interstellar missions already in game. So interstellar missions are not new. And what interstellar means is just going from one system to another to transfer cargo. And the Red Wind Linehaul Master Rank already had this technically. Like, you could take missions going from Pyro Gateway and Stanton, and then go over to Stanton Gateway and Pyro. So that's going to be my first bit of bad news, is those missions from Pyro Gateway to Stanton Gateway and vice versa are no longer there. They have been reworked into the missions that they are now available as, which is from Stanton to Pyro still, but it's from any of the LEOs. So Everest Harbor, Seraphim Station, Bygenie, and Tressler, and they all go to Ruin in Pyro. Alternatively, you can start in Pyro and grab a mission at Ruin Station. All the Red Wind Linehaul missions go to Ruin Station and then deliver to one of the LEOs in Stanton. So most commonly for me, I found it by Genie Point. There are no missions for Red Wind Linehaul going into Nyx at this time, which honestly doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because Nyx and Pyro are right next to each other. Like, if I wanted to deliver cargo with all 5 systems, if this were 1.0, I would have to go through go through Pyro to get to Stanton. And so I imagine there will be missions in the future, but as of this point, there's nothing going from Nyx to Pyro. So that being said, all of the reworked Red Wind Linehaul missions are available at rookie rank for Interstellar. Everything else that's within Pyro and the original Red Wind Linehaul quest or missions, you still have to have the appropriate ranks for those. So finally, we're going to end with Covalex, and Covalex is one of the complicated ones. And Covalex has the most missions available for interstellar hauling, and they go between all 3 systems, but they only go one of 2 ways, right? So it's either from Nyx to Stanton or vice versa, or it's Stanton to Pyro or vice versa. Again, same thing as Red Wind Linehaul. There are no missions for Covalex that go from Nyx to Pyro. And this one kind of makes sense to me because Covalex generally deals in more legal activities. Red Wind is more on that thin line of legal and illegal. Now, the only stipulation to that is with Covalex, the only missions that are available for interstellar hauling are at Master Reputation. So you don't get any interstellar hauling until you hit Master rank with Covalex in the current build. And it kind of confused me that they did Red Wind Linehaul like that, where Red Wind Linehaul is rookie rank across the board, and then Covalex is Master across the board. Like, the only reason I can see them making that difference is because Covalex has way more missions than both Ling family and Red Wind for interstellar hauling. Now, with the external freight elevators out and interstellar hauling being a very real thing, I wanted to see what was the most efficient way to do things. And maybe for some of you, fortunately, and this will caveat onto another point, but the auto loading and unloading system is probably the most reliable at the moment. I made a video on this trying to take like 9 cargo hauling missions, and the auto load unload system was just not having it if I picked up from more than one location and if I tried to drop off at more than one location. So my recommendation, take 2 to 3 missions, pick them all up at one location and drop them all off at the same location. Generally, it's going to be, if you're picking up in Stanton, you only have 2 choices anyways. It's pick up at, or excuse me, it's drop off at Ruin or drop off at Levski. Like, there's not much variation at the moment. So it's going to be a matter of where your pickup point is going to be. Doing this big cargo haul right here was very fun to do with my boys. And I'd be happy to do it again if cargo hauling was their thing, but they're more of FPS people. At least the guys that came with me. So thanks, guys, for doing that for me. I appreciate you. If you want an easy activity to really kind of get into that will also challenge you, manually loading and doing these interstellar hauling missions and the logistics portion of it and organizing it is quite fun. So one thing that I really wasn't going to present, but technically it's hauling, is that delivery missions are back, at least in Nix. And so you go to a wreck site, you pick up a package, and then you're supposed to deliver them to whatever location you want. The freight elevator at that location. Unfortunately, the drop-off does not work as of this morning for me. So that was like 10 a.m. on the 18th of November. But there was a hot fix that was released later today. I don't know what the hot fixes were. I imagine they'll come out with the patch notes tomorrow on the 19th when the patch comes out. But delivery missions are available. Now, the reason I'm taking a delivery mission is to talk about salvaging. So we're going to get to our wreck site and I will show you a little bit more about what's going on with salvaging. So the reason I wanted to pick up a delivery mission is because all of those abandoned ships or wreck sites are out in the Glacium Ring. And so with being in the Glacium Ring, one, at these wreck sites, they're generally all at the same location. So while Nix is popular, if you're out here salvaging, you could pick up one of those delivery missions and go to them. And much like what you see here, there are ships that are out here that are just abandoned and ready to salvage. So if you want free RMC, if you're in a Vulture or something, this particular one looks like it is bugged. Yeah, it's not letting me scrape anything. But you come out to one of these delivery missions and get free RMC from the ships that you can actually scrape from. Or construction material, whatever you want to do. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to come out here and get a ship for us to salvage is because one of the things that they said they implemented last patch is the sweet spot. And so if you look at the percentages on the left there, like you can see that I am getting too close when it goes to -23, and then I'm in a good spot when I'm at +16. That's not new. What is new is this green circle in the middle of the little charge icon there. And so I'm going to go to a different panel because this is just me testing it at first. So just a second. Okay, so as I get closer to this wing of the Scorpius, you can see as I move around the panel, that green circle in the middle gets smaller or bigger depending on how close I get to the sweet spot I am. So this will depend on how actually close you are to the panel. And if you look at it now, I'm at 18%. And there's like a little dot right in the middle, like 1 pixel at most. And so I could increase this a little bit more to make it more solid, or move it away to make it less solid. But as soon as that green circle gets pretty much filled all the way in, that is when you have hit the sweet spot. And you'll get the most yield out of it. Now, the real reason I wanted to come out here is 2 things. One, I'm checking out these asteroids because I haven't checked them out yet. And that is Taurite and Agricium. But I am looking for salvage panels. And so with any asteroid belt that we've seen so far, they all come with salvage panels in them, but it's all dependent on how dense the asteroid field is. So even the Aaron Halo and Stan has asteroid or salvage panels. But one thing I have found with the Glacium Ring is all these salvage panels have generally been an 8,000 signature or higher. And so there's just, at a minimum, there are 4 panels at each location that I found so far. I don't think I found a single, just one single panel out in the Glacium Ring whenever I did come up with a cluster of them. So the Glacium Ring is going to be a fantastic place to get salvage panels. And then if you can get to one of these delivery missions and then just book it out of here and stay in the Glacium Ring somewhere else, I mean, it's basically free money. Nobody's ever going to find you. Okay, so we have switched over to the Prospector, which means we are now talking about mining. And so mining of 4.4 hasn't changed either, but there are some significant updates about it. And so the first and most important one is that there are 3 new materials in mining. One of them is going to be Taurite, one of them is going to be Lindinium, and the last one is Savrillium. And I said that in order of most common to least common. And so Taurite is probably going to be a higher end B class material. Lindinium is going to be a high end A class material. And then Savrillium is going to be a low class S material. You are not going to have a hard time finding these, but I will say if you want to look for them specifically, they are in M-type asteroids. As you're scanning across the verse for M-type asteroids, you will be looking for a signature of 1850 or 1850 or multipliers of 1850. I will say these M-type asteroids are all over the Glacium belt or ring or whatever the heck this thing's called, and you will not have a hard time finding them. That being said, the downside of asteroid mining is that you will generally only find these in clusters of 1 to 5, and generally they will be in just clusters of 1. It is going to be an unfortunate time, but if you want to farm lindenium generally, if you refine it at Levski and then sell it at Orison, it sells for 10k a pop. So you could make a very good profit off of lindenium. Now, I did say farm lindenium. I would not recommend going to farm Savrillium. Like, do not go out there and just look for Savrillium, because I spent 3 hours looking for Savrillium and I found one rock in 3 hours. And so I would personally recommend you come out here with a prospector and a Hofstede mining laser, and you could put any module you want on there. I ended up having the most success with a Riger C3, but you could put a Focus 3 module on there as well. I would recommend, for this, the safest bet would be to put the Focus 3 on there, and if you need a little bit more power, have a Riger C3 on you. But the Torite, Lindenium, and Savrillium have really high resistances, and they have really high instability. And if you find two of them together, which more often than not, if you find Lindenium, it's going to have Torite in there too. So it's going to have high resistance, it's going to have high instability, and you are going to need a resistance reduction mining laser. Lastly, about mining, there is a really bad bug with the mole, and that bug just so happens to be that the mining heads are bespoke to the mole. You are not able to change them out. You can open the ports, you can go to the vehicle loadout manager, nothing works. So if you want to go mole mining, I would recommend going to Cheech's ship shop and purchasing the mole there, because it comes with a Helix 2 on the front laser and 2 Klein size 2s on the left and right. That Helix 2 should give you enough power to crack any large rocks that are out in the Glacium ring, and the Kleins, you can set them up to have quite a bit of power or no or little power just overall. Now, this is a bug in the PTU. There's no guarantee that this is going to be in live when it goes online tomorrow, but we will see. So the last thing I want to talk about, and if you haven't been here yet, please take a trip to the refinery. Like, this video, even in 2K, just does not do it justice. It is such a cool refinery. Anyways, the reason we are at the refinery is because of the refinery terminal, and this is the shop terminal, but the shop terminal has a lot of good stuff for both mining and for salvaging, but primarily mining. It is a mining outpost. So for modules, you can pretty much buy, I want to say, everything except like 2 or 3 of them. So it's like you can't buy the Torrent 3. There's a couple other, but like you can buy the Stampede, you can buy the Sirs, the Riger C3. It is very limited on the gadgets that you can buy, but the big ones, when planets do come around, the Sabir and Bormax will serve you very well. The Okunis I do like from time to time. As for laser heads, this is quite limited in regards to size 2, so you do have the Klein, you do have the Impact. As for the size 1, you do have the Hofstede and the Klein as well. There is also the Helix 2, as well as all the size 0 mining heads. So that's going to be for your Atlas Geo, for your Rock, and whatever ground mineable vehicles come in the future. Oh, there's also a Lancet 2 as well. So there's that. Let's check out the actual refinery terminal. So the changes on this particular refinery terminal are going to affect both salvaging and mining. So Levski currently, as far as I'm aware, is the only location that has construction material bonus yield. And so you have one that is for 9%, and you have another one that is for 8%. Now, it doesn't say which is which, unfortunately. I hope they change that in the future. But I have done a few tests with the Fortune, and I've determined that the 8% yield is for the construction material Rebel. And so the way that this formula works with the construction material is you do your base formula, which is 30% of whatever your quantity is. And then the 8% is additive to that. And so with this 2 SCU of material, we would end up with a yield of 60 micro SCU. And then that would round up to 1 anyways. But that 8% yield gives me 65. Outside of the construction material bonus yield, you will also see in the bonus yields up top that every single ore that you can bring in here to refine has a positive yield. There is no ore on this list that has a negative yield. So currently Levski is the only station. If you come here to refine anything, you will get a positive yield. Also, Quantanium has a plus 5% bonus. So that is the highest currently across the verse. And so I just wanted to show you, I went to Orison. Levski has generally low prices for the new materials comparatively, and that makes sense because it's the closest station to all those new materials. So we're at Orison to see what they sell for, and here they are. So you can see Savrilium sells for 22K. It looks like Lindenium is 8.6K, and then Torite is 500 per SU, 510 per SU. So Torite appears to be a B-class material. Lindenium is an A-class, high A-class material. And then Savrilium is an S-class material. All right, so that's going to do it for the 4.4 patch for industry-related changes. And it's a lot. And there's more stuff to come once IE comes out if the leaks are all true, which I feel like at this point they are. But we're going to see. Oh, it's a lot of work, but I love it so much. Anyways, I'm Saxawine with SC Haulers. If you have any questions about the 4.4 PTU patch, you can get a hold of me in Discord. My Discord is at discord.gg/SCHaulers. Honestly, if the leaks are true, I am excited about a new Drake ship, which I was not expecting. But that being said, what was that guy doing? Oh, he was looking at the Perseus. Anyways, I am Saxawine with SC Haulers. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you at the next haul. Love you, bye.